We were able to retrieve 4 additional eggs on December the 31st, the last day of the year was when God pulled it all together. Prior to that, my husband, his sperm, when he was tested in November, they said he had 2 sperm. Then it went to like 14.5 million, but then he didn't have any uh normal shaped sperm. Well, when I tell you that God worked a miracle and that we were recommended by Dr. Brown and his urologist that we go ahead and create the embryos. So it was a step of faith because we're still waiting on all of his test results to come back after he did the ozone therapy. But, in the natural, it would have been easier for us to just freeze eggs again. But we took a step of faith, and I'm so glad that we did. But, of course, the enemy is going to try and throw all kinds of darts. He's going to try and stir up, confusion to try and get you off task from what God is, trying to do. So, of course, we always have to make decisions. And, we just believed that we had to step out on faith. And we did just that. So then there was a situation because by then we knew we had at least 4 follicles that were growing, but we had 1 egg that was frozen in the Manhattan location. We had 1 egg frozen in the Connecticut location. And so we wanted all of the eggs to be fertilized together. Well, because it was the holiday time, they didn't have anybody that could transport the egg from Manhattan to the Connecticut office, which is where Dr. Brown practices out of. So we went back and forth trying to come up with a solution. And so my mom said, "Well, you think they'll let y'all transport?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think they probably gonna let us do that." But anyway, so I left it at that. Next day came, and somebody from the clinic called and they said, "Look, do you guys have the ability? Could you transport it? Because you have to understand in Manhattan, a lot of people don't have cars because New York is got all kinds of things going on, and with the holidays, it was just short notice. And so they said, "Look, can you guys transport the egg?" And so we were like, "Yeah, we can." And so it was such a wonderful experience and just God smiling on us that we had a rental car, so we were able to go to the Manhattan Clinic and pick up our miracle egg. This is the first miracle egg that was retrieved after I had the last IVF cycle with a different clinic in Dallas last year, where I had absolutely nothing. And I was told that there were no signs of any eggs in my follicles, which, as I've talked about, it was very devastating to us, but we pressed forward. And so it was such a beautiful experience to be able to transport. We took some videos of me, preciously holding the tank as Rico was driving, and then we got to take some pictures with the tank, and it was us, just enjoying what we know only God can do. I've never heard of anybody being able to transport their egg or their embryo, but God allowed us to do that, and it was such a beautiful experience. And I'm just so grateful to Him because you know it wasn't cheap to be in New York for that period of time, but it was purposeful. And I know that it was God ordained.